The night was still and silent in Willowbrook. Most people were already asleep, except 14-year-old Ariana Miller, who was finishing the last batch of cookies for her mom's small home bakery. Their tiny apartment was warm from the oven, and Ariana stepped outside to cool off. As she inhaled the cold night air, she froze. There it was, smoke, faint, but definitely smoke. She looked around, confused. The neighborhood was usually dark and calm, with only the streetlights buzzing. But the smell grew stronger. She walked toward the end of the lane, and that's when she saw it. The old Johnson house was on fire. At first she thought maybe someone was burning garbage. But the flames in the windows grew too bright, too wild. And then, a sound, a muffled cry. A weak, desperate shout. Someone was inside. Ariana's heart jumped. She looked around. No neighbors, no police cars, no firefighters. Nobody else had noticed. She didn't even think twice. She sprinted toward the house, pushed open the half-broken gate, and yelled, "Hello? Can you hear me?" Another cry came, weaker this time. Ariana covered her mouth with her sleeve and plunged into the burning hallway. Smoke filled her lungs instantly, burning her throat. The heat felt like a giant monster breathing on her face. She coughed, tears streaming from her eyes, but she pressed forward. "Keep talking." "I'm coming!" she shouted. Through the smoke, she spotted him. A man collapsed near the staircase, his suit burned, his face blackened by ash. He was barely conscious. Ariana reached him and shook his shoulder. "Sir, you have to get up." He groaned, but his body slumped again. He was too heavy, too weak, so Ariana put his arm around her shoulder, gritting her teeth as she pulled. Inch by inch, step by shaky step, she dragged him toward the door. A loud crack echoed above them. A beam fell and hit the floor behind her, so close it sent hot sparks onto her hoodie. But she didn't look back. She kept dragging the stranger, until they burst through the doorway and collapsed on the grass. Neighbors rushed out, shouting in disbelief. "Call 911! "Oh my God, is she okay?" "The girl saved him." Ariana lay next to the man, gasping for air, her hands trembling. Paramedics arrived minutes later and lifted the man onto a stretcher. One officer checked his ID, then immediately froze. His expression changed from shock to disbelief. He looked at Ariana with wide eyes and whispered to the other officer, "Do you know who she just saved?" Ariana sat on the curb, wrapped in a blanket the police had given her. Her mom arrived soon after, frantic and crying, hugging Ariana so tightly she could barely breathe. "What were you thinking, running into a burning house?" "I heard someone calling," Ariana said quietly. "I couldn't leave him." Before her mother could say more, the officers returned, this time with a strange seriousness in their eyes. "Miss Miller," one officer said gently, "the man you rescued, his name is Michael Harrington." Ariana blinked. "Who?" "He's the CEO of Harrington Global, one of the most influential businessmen in the state." Gasps spread through the small crowd. A billionaire, Ariana, a girl struggling to afford school shoes, had just pulled a billionaire from a burning building. But the officer wasn't done. "We suspect this fire wasn't accidental. Evidence suggests someone tried to kill him." A chill ran down Ariana's spine. "You mean someone set the fire on purpose?" "It's very likely," Ariana suddenly realized. She hadn't just run into a burning house. She had run straight into someone's murder attempt. Hours later, she returned home exhausted, her lungs hurting from the smoke. She collapsed into bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the moment she pulled the stranger out. The next morning, their front yard was filled with news vans. Reporters, microphones, flashing cameras, everyone wanted to talk to the teenage hero. But while the media camped outside, something far more important was happening inside the hospital. Michael Harrington woke up. His first words were, "Where's the girl who saved me?" But police kept him under protection due to the suspected arson attack. So he made a request that shocked even the officers. "I want to meet her, immediately." By evening, a black luxury SUV stopped in front of Ariana's home. Two men in suits stepped out. "Is Ariana Miller home?" "Mr. Harrington would like to see her." Ariana's breath caught. Why did a billionaire want to see a nobody like her? She had no idea that meeting him would reveal something that would change her life forever. Ariana was nervous as the men in suits escorted her through the VIP hospital wing. Everything looked expensive, from the polished floors to the giant flower arrangements. When she entered the private room, Michael Harrington turned his head and smiled faintly. "You must be Ariana," he said softly. My guardian angel. Ariana blushed. I just helped. Anyone would. He shook his head. No, they wouldn't. You saved my life when everyone else was asleep. He asked her to sit. I need to tell you something important, he said, his voice low. Something about that night. And something about you. Ariana stiffened. The fire wasn't an accident, he said. I uncovered a corruption scheme worth millions. Some powerful people wanted me gone. Ariana swallowed hard. She had walked into something deadly without even knowing. But that's not the only reason I wanted to meet you, he continued. He reached into a drawer and pulled out a small, worn photograph. Ariana's heart almost stopped. The picture was of a smiling man in uniform. Her father, who she was told had died in an accident years ago. How do you have this? She whispered. Michael's eyes softened. He worked for me. He was my head of security, and one of the bravest men I've ever known. Tears welled in Ariana's eyes. But that night, he continued, voice cracking, he died protecting me. It wasn't an accident. It was the same people who came after me now. Ariana gasped, covering her mouth. All these years, she had lived believing a lie. I owed him a debt, Michael said gently. One I could never repay until you saved me just like he once did. He handed her a folder. Inside was a full scholarship, financial support, and a fund set aside for her future. For your education, he said. And for your father's legacy. Ariana burst into tears. In one night, she had gone from a girl no one noticed, to a hero who uncovered the truth about her father, to someone with a future brighter than she ever imagined. Michael held her hand. You're not just a brave girl, he whispered. You are your father's daughter. Ariana left the hospital with tears, hope, and a new beginning. She didn't just save a stranger. She saved a man whose life was already tied to hers, in a way she never knew.